Hey, happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to another Chamber Check-In episode from Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber. Today, I'm really excited to feature Idaho Employment Lawyers, and I've got owner and attorney with us today, Pam Howland. I'm going to bring her on the screen right now. Hi, Pam.
Hey, Paul. How's it going?
It's great. I'm so glad that we're out of these triple-digit days. The smoke is on its way out of the valley, and the cooler weather is definitely best for cross-country season.
Yep, bring on the fall. I'm ready.
Me too. Pam, you and I haven't really met and had lunch yet. So I'm excited to learn and share a little bit about you and Idaho Employment Lawyers. But what I did discover is some very unique services that your organization provides businesses and your clients that I'm just excited to share. So let's start out with you first, Pam. Tell us a little bit about you and your background and history of work that led you to becoming an attorney.
Perfect. Well, I was actually born at St. Luke's over here, but when I was a little kid, my parents packed me up and we moved to Montana, where I grew up. And then I eventually ended up working in Spokane, going to Gonzaga Law School. And as soon as I graduated, I moved back to Boise to clerk for the Idaho Supreme Court. And yep, and this is where I've spent my entire legal career, going on year number 25. Crazy. It's crazy how fast time flies.
Wow. Okay, so we have a lot in common. All three of my kids were born at St. Luke's. I lived in Spokane, and I love the campus at Gonzaga.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I'm a big fan of law school, if ever anyone's asking. So many opportunities. Love the time I spent in Spokane, but now I'm so entrenched in Boise, I don't ever see me packing up and leaving. But have loved the opportunity to practice law here, work with a number of Idaho-based businesses and the people who were in them.
Did you always think when you were going to law school that you were going to own your own firm, or did you just want to be a partner or an attorney? Tell me a little bit about that.
No, that's really funny, actually. I partly went to law school because I loved law and order. And I thought, I want to go to trial. And so what I really wanted to do was be a prosecutor. So that was my plan all along. But then I got out of law school. A friend of mine who I was studying for the bar with said, you worked in law school at the U.S. Attorney's Office, so you've seen a little bit of that. Why don't you give civil practice a try? Like, why don't you apply for a firm job, give it a shake, see what happens, see if you like civil practice? And so that's what I did. I graduated, took the bar, clerked for a year at the Supreme Court, and then I went to work for Holland and Hart here in town. And I worked there for 16 years. So wow. I really got my experience and the foundational info working for some really good attorneys over there. And employment law just became an area where I had some cases. I loved going to court. And we had some big litigation matters that involved employment law. And so that was really how I got on the employment law path and realized I really liked it and liked working with Idaho employers and saw a niche here for providing additional services with a specialty that just focused on employment law.
And so that's pretty much the story of how Idaho Employment Lawyers was started?
Yeah, pretty much. So like I said, I was at Holland and Hart for a long time and really realized that because big firm practice is different than smaller firm practice. You're working on really big cases. A lot of the firms that fit the big firm profile involve, like multi-practice areas, really large employers. And I enjoyed that work, but realized what I really wanted to do was to open a firm where we had services available for employers of all sizes. So everyone from startups to mid-size, and we still do work for a fair number of pretty large employers here. So it really was about offering a broader array of employment specific services. So we're the only employment firm in town that only does defense work. So we don't do like, I want to sue my employer for discrimination.
Okay.
Our bread and butter is helping employers with compliance. So understanding how to maneuver through all of the complex laws that employers have to follow. We try to help them proactively understand that so they don't end up in a claim or a lawsuit. But if they do, we do litigation as well. So we defend claims and lawsuits. We do a lot of training. And then sometimes we get hired for workplace investigations too, all as part of Idaho Employment Lawyers.
We've highlighted a few of the services and what you offer your clients. And we talked about kind of the story of why IEL, how it all started. And I love that, where you find a niche and you really enjoy it. And that way you can be really strategic in your offerings and be very valuable in that sector. I love that. And congratulations to you and your team for having Idaho Employment Lawyers. And how long have you been in business on your own?
Yeah, we've come a long way, 8 years. So going on year number 9, 8 years, started working in an office in my house, just me, and it's really grown and evolved. We now have 5 attorneys here, and we're located downtown. And yeah, it's always kind of changing and growing. We're always looking like, what do local employers need from us, and are trying to make sure we're offering the services that employers need.
What I love about being part of the chamber, and I get to work with the organization, is that, okay, you have a garage business, right? And you want to make your beer. Let's say you're a brewer, right? And you're making beer out of your garage. I just want to make beer. I don't have to worry about the accounting. I don't have to worry about the new policies that I got to adhere. So I'm so glad that we live in a community that has all those resources.
Yeah, absolutely. We've enjoyed that too. We've enjoyed some of the networking events and some of the learning and educational stuff offered over at the chamber too. And there really is a lot available. Everything's available. You just got to know where to find it.
Okay. Tell us how Idaho Employment Lawyers is a little bit different. I was looking on your website, and what I loved about it was, even though you're an attorney and you practice law and you probably earn a lot of revenue from litigation, your goal is to prevent your clients to go to litigation. Help me expand a little bit on that.
Yes. Well, as I mentioned, when we first started chatting, I used to love law and order. I couldn't wait to go to court. And in those early years of being a lawyer, I did. And I have, over the past 2 decades, been in and out of state and federal court. I now realize, it's not as glamorous as it looks. And for the parties who are involved, it's pretty miserable. It's once a lawsuit starts, I can't just magically make it go away, which is what clients always want, right? Like, make it go away, resolve it, win it. It just isn't quite that straightforward. It's expensive. It's time consuming, really stressful for the parties who are involved. And what we've realized here at my firm over the years is we would much rather be on the proactive side of helping employers to avoid it altogether than to be on the side of being in court, arguing in this contentious battle for a resolution where there's so many wild cards. And, even the court, our courts are busy. Right. The judges are in many ways unable to handle the large dockets that they have through no fault of their own, but it makes it really hard to even push a case forward. So we love helping employers to stop the problems before they start. And the only way you can really do that is through training. So what we've really done over the last few years have compiled our list of, these are the same issues that we see over and over and over and over again. Because in the employment law realm, it really is a lot of the same stuff. And if you're an employer and you don't take it seriously enough, if you're not getting training, If you're just thinking, oh, it'll be intuitive, I'm a smart person, I can just figure it out on my own, it's just not quite that easy. And on top of it, the law is always changing. So this year alone has been a crazy employment law year, probably because it's an election year. That's not that unusual when you might have a change in administration. But we have seen more new and different employment laws and concepts in 2024 than we've seen in a really long time. And what that means for employers is they need someone to help them understand it and someone to help them figure out what they need to do to avoid problems, claims, lawsuits.
How many businesses that you're working with are proactive? Because I know I'm not, right? It's always like, I got to go to the dentist because my tooth hurts, right? Tell me a little bit about your education program, and then we'll talk about law for leaders, because I think that's really cool to talk about that. But how do you help a client become proactive?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to answer that first question, we do counseling. So sometimes we do frequently get calls from employers saying, I have an issue. It's on my radar. I don't really know what to do with it, but I think it might lead to a problem if I handle it wrong. So on those calls, 9 times out of 10, we can help the employer to avoid the problem altogether, but you have to be able to spot the issue. So that's where the training comes in. If you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you've never had training, you're probably not going to be able to spot the issue to pick up the phone and call us before the problem arises. So we started an entity that's called Law for Leaders in 2023. And it's kind of funny. It's this growing and morphing and changing entity that really, every month it looks a little different because we're really dialed into what employers need and how we can change and grow this program to make sure we've got the right services offered. But it initially started out as pre-recorded trainings for employers based on the top 12 issues that we see land employers in court. So we identified those, we recorded them, and we're in Idaho, right? So part of the idea was there's a lot of clients we have outside of Boise who might not be able to get in the car and come to Boise for a training. So the thought was, let's offer these pre-recorded trainings, and then employers anywhere, can watch those, learn from them, and get the training they need. But what we found is that there's a group of people who need the really in-depth training on the top 12 issues. But then we also had a number of clients who said, well, that's good, but we also have supervisors who need to be able to spot issues, but they don't quite need that level of deep knowledge. So now we've taken it and we've created these shorter snapshots aimed at helping supervisors spot issues.
Oh.
Yeah. And then we've had clients come to us and say, well, that's all good. We love that, but we'd much rather have you come in person because that's more fun. And then we can ask questions and we can interact. So we have all those types of offerings. We have the live training, the recorded content for people who want a deeper dive, the recorded content for the supervisor issue spotting. And those are all part of what we do. Kind of exciting is we have a book that we're rolling out that we've compiled here, which is a roadmap to help employers stay out of court. That's going to be, we just finished the draft. So that's headed to the publisher for release probably in early 2025. And then we're going to start a podcast in early 2025 too, because this year with all the changes, it really has reminded us, and with feedback from our clients, we need help. Help us understand the key issues so we can comply with the law, do the right thing, and not end up in a claim or a lawsuit. So those are all services that we're offering. And I mean, who knows what else we'll do. But those are the ones that have just surfaced in the last year. So this program's going. And it's been fun. We love it. It energizes us. It makes us happy. And it's fun for us to, not be at our computer typing a brief, but to be out talking with our clients, hearing what issues really are on their radar. So those are all part of what we do. and we'll see where it goes from here.
Well, I love that you're offering this proactive approach, right? For businesses that that need attorney services, what's your sweet spot? Can a small business, you mentioned startup to Fortune 500 companies. Tell me about kind of your percentage of what size companies you work with, or should anybody just call you?
Yeah. Well, I know we get that question all the time, and it differs really by service for us. If we're talking about litigation, because that's probably, at least half of our work here is defending clients in court. I mean, it just depends on who gets hauled into court. I mean, we do work for bigger companies and we do work for mid-sized companies. If you're super small, you have to have like at least 5 employees to have the Idaho Human Rights Act apply. So the really small companies maybe won't end up in court, but mid to large size do. And if that's the case, they need attorneys who know the law and know how to maneuver through the Idaho court system. So we do work for companies of all sizes in court. Sometimes we also get hired to do workplace investigations. So imagine an employee goes to HR and says the president or the CEO is harassing me, or the HR director has discriminated against me on the basis of my disability. Those are, if it's a high level leader or if it's at high risk for litigation, my firm sometimes gets hired to come in and investigate that, gather facts, provide recommendations, make sure that the employer is handling all the things they need to do to show that they're in compliance. So those are usually bigger companies that hire us to do that. But the training is really for everyone. We have got clients that are big and we've got clients that are small and everybody in between, because everybody really needs to stay up to date on the law. And it's not just limited to that. And then we also do have a handful of what we call membership packages that we do sell more to small businesses. So we have what we call a business starter package that has a handful of things that a business is going to need as they hit, employees, really, whether it's a handbook, some training, other documents they're going to need. We have another package that's got some training and 8 hours of legal. So we have some of those packages that are good for smaller to mid-sized firms too. We try to make sure we've got everybody covered. So pretty much whatever you need in the employment compliance realm, odds are high we'll be able to handle it.
Well, Pam, over 50% of our members have less than 25 employees.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect case there to engage with us and for our businesses to look out, businesses like yours for that proactive approach. Yes. We got a couple more minutes here. Is there anything else that you'd like to share while we have you?
Well, again, we've got the full Law for Leaders stuff. And another thing that we do, and we've been doing more and more, is speaking. So we love to get out in the community. We do keynote presentations, all of it hinging on what you need to know to stay out of trouble. So we're always looking for, entities that have a conference or looking for speakers. That's another thing that we can offer. Some of the feedback we get from clients is they have trouble getting the level of keynote that they're looking for. And so that's something else that we're doing. And, I guess the other thing is just we love to hear from people. So if there's an issue that you need training on or that you want to hear more about, especially as we roll into the fall and get our podcast going, we'd love to hear from people. So we want to make sure we're offering everything Idaho employers need and are open. And that's the fun thing about having a firm like this is we can do what we want, right? So if there's a need, we're going to change it. We're going to provide it. And that's one of the things I've loved the most about having the firm is just the flexibility to do what you think's needed out there, even if it's a little outside the box.
Well, you've got a great team as well. And so maybe let's send us off with that. Shout out your team and your experience.
Absolutely. Yes. So I have a marketing expert, Haley Apple, who is amazing and is really helping us get everything out in the community. And then we have 5 other attorneys here who, I mean, that's what the firm is. It's made up of everybody working together, paddling the canoe through the rapids. So I've got Ben Kramer, Jennifer Walrath, Doug Plass, Emily Pillman, and we have Linda Jones, our paralegal, who is there helping to make sure that things are going smoothly and some of the behind the scenes work. But yes, it is a great group, and I'm very lucky to have the team that we've got here.
Collectively, a lot of years of experience between your outfit. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's great. Pam, thank you so much for your membership and investment with us. I see a lot of synergies where we could use your expertise. I see you speaking at some of our lunch and learns. We have a small business education series, which would be great to have a training there. So reach out to us. We'd love to help coach and educate our members as well to be better, right? That proactive approach. I love it.
Yes. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me. And we look forward to collaborating with the Chamber in the years to come.
Say hi to your team. Have a great weekend.
Okay, see ya. Thank you.